Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. In today's video I'll be making this milkmaid dress. I've seen this style a lot all over social media and I wanted to try it. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends. Let's get started. First I traced my front and back bodies and cut them out. And I'm just going ahead to pin that down on another paper so it doesn't move around while I'm drafting. At the apex point, I'm measuring around it my bust radius, which is 3 inches. To get your apex point, measure from your shoulder to apex and half of your apex to apex measurement from center front, which is what I'm doing here. Marking my dart placement, I'm marking half of my apex measurement from center front towards side seam and at the waistline. Once that's done, I'm measuring my 1/4 of my waist measurement, putting that down on my waistline, and then I measure the excess, which is 1 inch, and then I placed 1/2 an inch on each dart leg, and then I squared that up towards the apex. At my side seam, I'm going down 1/2 an inch and inwards 1/2 an inch. Connect that 1/2 an inch point down to your waistline. And also at the top of the radius, I'm going out on each dart leg 1/2 an inch and using a curved ruler to create a soft curve on that 1/2 an inch. By doing this, we're taking out contour, excess material around the top of the dress. Also under the bust at the radius point, I'm marking 1/2 an inch on both sides and connecting that to the waistline, that at the waistline, and also using a curved ruler to connect that towards the apex. Now I'm just drawing a line under the bust radius, which is going to serve as my empire. At the bust line, I went up by 1 inch and inwards 1/2 an inch. At the side seam under the arm, I'm just making a curve to create the new style line I'll be needing. And now to complete the style line at the top of the dress, I'm just going to close that dart. Once that's done, I'm going to use my curved ruler to create my new style line at the top of the dress. First I freehanded it, and then I used my curved ruler to make the lines bold. Once that's done, I'm just extending the lines. At my side seam from the radius, I'm going out by 1 inch and then using my curved ruler to make a curved line connecting to the under bust, and I'm just going ahead to mark my notches, and at the center front I'm connecting the under bust curve to the 1/2 an inch mark we created before. Now that that's done, you're done with the front. Moving on to the back, we're going to do the exact same thing at the back. Mark 1/2 of your bust apex to apex point and square a line upwards from the waistline towards the top. And from the shoulder point, mark down 5 inches and then square a line across. Now measure your waist and then take out the excess, which is 1 inch, and place 1/2 an inch on both dart legs and connect that to the line the 5-inch line you created across your back. On the side seam, I came down 1 inch and then half an inch towards the center front, connected that to my waist, and then went back to the front measurement and took the side seam measurement for the front and matched that up to the back, so it connects smoothly when we join the two pieces together. At my center front, I'm marking 6.5 inches and then connecting that to the side seam. Once that's done, your patterns are complete. Go ahead and trace out your different panels and then add your seam allowances. For the cup, we're tracing 4 of the side cup pattern. Add your seam allowances, and for the center front cup, we're tracing 4 of that as well. Add your seam allowances. The center front we're placing on fold for the main garment, cut 1, and then for the lining you want to place the center front, add your seam allowance at the center front and cut 2. Same thing for the side seam, cut 4 of the side seam. For the back also, we're going to trace out the back, add our seam allowance, cut 4 for center back and 4 for side seam. And then for the main garment of the cup, we're going to trace that whole bust cup we created, and then we're going to draw lines through the cup, because we're going to be slashing and spreading those lines. I've already done that, so I took the measurement of the cup and then I multiplied that by 1.5 and I made my slash and spread the amount that it equals at 1.5. Once that's done, you're going to spread it and follow the curve to draw your line. Now moving on to the lower part of the dress, I have my paper here on fold. I'm just going in to draw a line at the top of the paper, and from that line I'm going to measure 9.5 inches, which is the side hip measurement, and I'm going to square that line out, and from this line I'm going to measure the length of my skirt. Here I put down 27 inches, but later on I decided to go with the full length of the paper. But here I'm just squaring out the 27 inches, and on that side hip line I'm placing 1/4 of my hip measurement, which is 11 inches, and at the waistline I'm placing 1/4 of my waist measurement plus 1 inch for that. Now that that's done, I'm going to use my skirt curve to make a smooth curve from the waistline to the hip and from the hip line down to the hem. Now to mark my dart, I'm making reference from my from my bodies. I'm taking the apex, 1/2 of the apex measurement, which is 4 inches, and I'm placing that down from center front. Mark 4.5 inches downwards and take 1/2 inch dart on both legs and connect that to the 4 inches. I later on changed the increased the dart leg to 5 inches. Now I'm just going ahead to trace my pattern so I can open it to form a full front block. The reason I'm doing this is because there's a slit on one side of the skirt. At the hemline, I decided to make the hemline as wide as the hip, so I placed the hip measurement at the hemline, which is 11 inches, because I didn't want it to flare out. And then I drew a line connecting that to the hip line, and I traced that out. Here I'm just going ahead to make my lines bold. Once that's done, I'm deciding how deep I want my slit to go. So my crotch measurement is 11 inches and I'm going down from that crotch 4 inches, which is 15 inches, and I'm going to make a notch there to indicate my slit. Now we're going to be using the same pattern for the back, because just to conserve paper. So at that center front line, we're going to fold the other side of the other quarter of the front measurement in to make our back pattern. Here I'm just going ahead to mark my notches, and then I'm going to cut out one side of the center front and remove the dots. Then you can go ahead and add your seam allowances at that panel, because we're going to join both panels together. Now this is my side front pattern. We're going to cut 1, and that whole piece is a center front panel, which we're going to also cut 1. Now at that center front line, we're going to fold that in, and that piece will become our center back panel. You do this after you've cut out your front panel. And then center back panel, we're going to cut 2 and add seam allowance at the front.